Five Nights at Freddy's, otherwise known as Fnaf, is a video game horror franchise and, I guess you could say, media franchise created by Scott Cawthon that includes video games, novels, graphic novels, and newly released films, and the fan films that you'll find all over YouTube. The story of the franchise typically follows a night guard trying to survive from 12 a.m. or midnight, whatever you want to call it, to 6 a.m. for 5 nights while fending off attacks from homicidal animatronics, which are possessed by dead children. Each game is set in a different location and different time frame. Each location or time frame is connected to the fictional pizza restaurant where the games take place, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This is not your average horror game. The core gameplay mechanics involve using tools effectively and managing limited resources to avoid being killed by the animatronics. And when I say tools, I mean tools like a security camera set and 2 mechanical doors with lights. The game was released on August 4th. August 8th, my fault. I was 4 days off. August 8th, 2014. Again, it was developed by Scott Cawthon, and the latest game in the franchise, which I should know that these games are 11 years in the making. Basically, the franchise is 11 years in the making. Its latest game was Five Nights at Freddy's, Secrets of the Mimic, released June 13th, 2025, which was 3 months ago. To explain where the idea for this game came from, Scott Cawthon conceived the idea for the first video game after his family-friendly resource management game Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. was criticized for the resemblance of its characters to frightening animatronics. Responding to this feedback and criticization, he developed a horror game that focused on horror. As stupid as that sounds, that he would transition from family-friendly to horror. It was released in, again, August of 2014, and this would be the game that would be the turning point for him. The game's success prompted the development of sequels, and YouTubers like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, Yummy Mash, Corey Kenshin, and so many others to make videos on it. Markiplier's being the most popular for his jump scares and his face cam. Cawthon created most of the games himself using game engine Click Team Fusion, but partnered with Steelwool Studios to create various entries in the series, including an open world game, Fnaf World, and a virtual reality anthology game. And several spin-offs were created in collaboration with groups such as Illumix and Megacat Studios. Most of these companies I don't know. Actually, all of them I don't know. The series has a mixed critical reception, with praise for its storytelling and atmosphere, but criticism for its gameplay. It has achieved significant commercial success, with merchandise available internationally. The franchise has garnered a cult following that produces numerous forms of fan media, whether it's VHS videos like Baddington's VHS videos, and so on. And for merchandise, we have clothing, plushies, action figures. Oh god, don't even get me started on the action figures. I'm sure 90% of you know the company Funko that makes the Funko Pops. They had the license to Five Nights at Freddy's at one point, and their action figures were, without a doubt, ass. Of course, until Jazzwares received the license and made so much better action figures with a waist height, which still not as good. They should be taller than the average action figure, for realism, but oh well, they're still good figures. The media and release time spans from 2014 all the way to 2025. 2014 first starting out with Fnaf 1 and 2. I guess it doesn't take Scott Cawthon that long to make these games because he released a second one sometime later, I'm pretty sure the same year. Actually, I'm not pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it is. I know it is. After all, I am a FNAF fan, so therefore I did some digging and checked the release timelines for this video. Then in 2015, we have FNAF 3 and 4. 2016, Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. Most of these games' lore from FNAF 1 to FNAF 5, the timeline is in reverse, meaning sister location takes place first, then FNAF 4, then FNAF 2, then FNAF 1, and lastly FNAF 3. FNAF 5 taking place in the 80s, then spanning on to the 90s with FNAF 1. FNAF 3 takes place in 2023. Then in 2017, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, which I'm pretty sure is FNAF 6. Then in 2018, we got Ultimate Custom Night. Then in 2019, we got Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, which is the VR game. Then, in 2021, Security Breach, which you can't really call it a FNAF game because it doesn't use the mechanics. Personally, I think it's, don't even get me started with that one. Then in 2023, we have Help Wanted 2, the sequel to the original VR game. And then the recently mentioned Secrets of the Mimic coming out this year, 3 months ago. The main series, as I mentioned numerous times, was released August 8th, 2014 for Microsoft Windows, followed by ports for Android and iOS on August 27th. And September 11th, respectively, the game follows the security guard Mike Schmidt as he tries to survive his shift at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that lasts from midnight to 6 a.m. without being killed by the homicidal animatronic characters that wander the pizzeria at night. I should probably mention, even though I already mentioned this, the animatronics are possessed, which will be important for the story later on. I should also mention the phone guy, which is also an important character because you'll see him numerous times throughout the games. Well, sort of. FNAF 2 was teased shortly after the release of FNAF 1. A trailer was released on October 21st, 2014, and it was released for Microsoft Windows on November 11th, 2014, through Steam and for Android and iOS. On November 13th and November 20th, I presume, 2014 respectively, the game, largely inspired by its predecessor, follows Jeremy Fitzgerald, which is a completely different security guard. Because again, Mike Schmidt was the FNAF 1 security guard. The FNAF 2 security guard is Jeremy Fitzgerald. I should also mention that FNAF 2, I already mentioned this, and I keep saying this numerous times. FNAF 2 takes place in the 80s. FNAF 1 takes place in the 90s, closer to the 2000s. The new security guard, Jeremy Fitzgerald, as he tries to survive his shift at the new and approved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, without being attacked by any of the 10 animatronics that wander from room to room. Originally in FNAF 1 you had to deal with 4 animatronics. This one you have to deal with 10. 5 of them being broken down, withered animatronics. And then the other 5 being animatronics with facial recognition. I should probably mention what the facial recognition is for. Basically, it's to catch criminals, and I don't think you really want to know what those animatronics will do if they recognize a customer with crime background. Don't ask. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was teased on Cawthon's website and pretty sure his YouTube channel in January of 2015. And a little trailer was released on January 26th of 2015. The game launched on March 3rd, 2 months later, on Microsoft Windows, with Android and iOS ports following March 6th to March 12th, closer to a week or 2 later. Respectively, it follows a night guard at a soon-to-open horror attraction based on Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, Fazbear's Frights. I should mention the whole point of this attraction. Basically, one of the owners of the restaurant chain, William Afton, lured kids to the back room where he would dress up in a bunny costume and do some dirty deeds involving murdering kids. This would follow into the whole point of the horror attraction, called Fazbear's Frights. And the security guard, as the first 2 games follow, must survive the night against only one animatronic called Springtrap. This Springtrap is no animatronic. He's an undead man inside a suit. So that's worth mentioning because it's also part of the lore. The lore is very confusing, and I recommend you play the games yourself, because they are actually very good games. I recommend you play them if you choose to. Then we have FNAF 4. As I should remind you that most of the games except FNAF 3 are prequels. FNAF 3 is the only sequel of the game. FNAF 1 technically is a prequel because it takes place before FNAF 3. So if you were to play them in the chronological storyline, it's best you start with Sister Location. That takes place before FNAF 4 and then before FNAF 2 and 1. Anyway, FNAF 4 was teased in April of 2015 as the quote-unquote final chapter. Its release date was set as that on Halloween. A trailer was released in July, and its release date was advanced to August 8th. However, Cawthon announced that he had finished it on July 23rd, on which date he released it on Steam. Android and iOS ports were released on July 25th and August 4th, respectively. The game follows an unnamed child in his bedroom as nightmare animatronics attack the 2 doors on the left and right of the room, which the player must use to defend against them. While going over the different games and their releases, I will tell you some things that will help you make sense of the franchise. This child we play as is called the Crying Child. He is the son of William Afton and would later die at the end of the game due to his head accidentally being shoved inside a animatronic mouth, and the animatronic malfunctioned and crushed his head. It's not really gory because most of these mini-games are kind of like playable cutscenes, and they're 8-bit, so there's no gore. Unfortunately, for those you freaks on the internet. Then we come to the chronologically, technically first game. Even though it's not the first in its release, it would be the first in the storyline, sort of. Fnaf 5 Sister Location was teased in April of 2016 with the tagline, "There was never just one," and a trailer was uploaded on May 21st. It was released on Steam on October 7th, 2016, with a patch released shortly after to alleviate Night 4's difficulty. Android and iOS ports were released on December 22nd, 2016, and January 3rd, 2017, respectively. Unlike previous entries, where players are confined to a single room, players must move between rooms and complete tasks. And, move between vents, I should also mention, which is kind of terrifying if this was in VR. Then we have Pizzeria Simulator, which is the 6th FNAF game in the timeline. At least the release of timeline. This game follows an announcement. This game followed by an announcement by Cawthon in July of 2017 that a 6th game was in development, but ultimately canceled. He released Pizzeria Simulator on December 4th, 2017 as freeware, and also him saying it was canceled was more of a troll, given the fact that between the times of each one of these games releasing, Scott Cawthon was known to troll the players into thinking that not many more games would be released or they would be delayed, so on and so forth. Anyway, it was released on December 4th, 2017 as freeware on Steam after teasing it several days earlier. It is a simulation game in which the player manages a pizzeria during the day and fends off animatronics at night. Ultimate Custom Night was released as freeware. The customizable night contains a total of 50 animatronics from previous FNAF games in the timeline, which allows the player to determine how aggressive they are during the night. The players, or player technically, can select the office to play in, unlock cutscenes, and choose from 16 themed game modes available. Then we move into virtual reality territory with Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, which was announced during Sony Interactive Entertainment State of Play live stream on March 25th, 2019. It was released on May 28th, 3 days later, for Oculus Rift and HTC Vive on Windows and PlayStation VR headsets on the PS4. It was developed in collaboration between Cawthon and the formerly mentioned Steelwool Studios, with other studios giving further support. Cawthon initially proposed recreating the original FNAF game, Five Nights at Freddy's, but in VR, of course, but the game turned into an anthology of mini-games based on the first 5 games in the series. Then we move to, I guess you could say uncharted territory, because this game is a disappointment, in my opinion, of course. FNAF Security Breach was announced with a teaser trailer on September 16th, 2020. Slated for initial release on PC, PS4, and PS5 in the year. However, it was delayed many times until a release date of December 16th, 2021 was set. It is the second collaboration between Steelwool Studios and Scott Cawthon. The game follows a young boy named Gregory, trapped in a massive entertainment complex known as Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex, and the boy must complete tasks while avoiding the free roam animatronics that survey the complex. Free downloadable content for Security Breach titled Ruin was announced in May of 2022, a year after the game's release. It was released on July 25th of 2023. on PC, PS4, and PS5, with Xbox One and Xbox Series X versions released on April 23rd April 23rd of 2024. Ruin takes place after the main security breach story and is okay. Fnaf Help Wanted 2 is another VR game, which is a direct sequel to Help Wanted itself, announced on May 24th, 2023, where it was scheduled for release in December of 2023. The game was released on December 14th for the Oculus Rift and the PlayStation VR 2. A non-VR port for PS5 was released on June 20th, 2024. The game features mini-games based on Sister Location Security Breach and was made by Steel Wool Studios. Then, the current game that was released earlier this year, Fnaf Secret of the Mimic. The 11th main installment was announced on August 20 of 2024, with a trailer shown on the State of Play live stream in February of 2025. The game was developed by Steel Wool Studios. It was released on June 13th of 2025 for PlayStation 5 and Windows. Then we go into even more uncharted territory with spin-off games and mobile games. Oh god, don't even get me started on the mobile games. Fnaf World, which, in my opinion, looks like a very fun RPG despite it not being very family-friendly, with some lines in the game involving vulgar language, which really shocked me given the fact that you don't see much gore or cussing in the Fnaf games, which, despite it being a horror game, is very shocking given the fact that horror games are known for cussing and gore. Fnaf sure as hell isn't. Fnaf World was announced on September 15th, 2015. Unlike the main series, the game is a role RPG video game, role-play game. Using previous game characters, players must fight enemies and progress by unlocking perks and items. Originally planned for release on February 2nd, 2016, Cawthon rescheduled the release for January 22nd, and it released on the 21st, a day early. And you know how I mentioned mobile games? We open up with Fnaf AR, Special Delivery, an augmented reality game with location-based gameplay, was announced on September 13th, 2019, developed by Illumex, a video game startup company. The game was released for free in November of 2019. Its servers were shut down on March 14th, 2024. Thank God. Freddy in Space 2. Watching videos for this game that's an hour of my life I'm never getting back. Is a side-scrolling platform shooter game and a sequel to a mini-game from Fnaf World. It was released for free on December 3rd, 2019 on GameJolt. The game was made to promote a charity live stream hosted by The Game Theorist YouTube channel. So that's kind of the only good thing that came out of this game. At least it wasn't like the Special Delivery game. Security Breach Fury's Rage is a free side-scrolling beat-em-up game featuring the main cast of Security Breach set in city streets. The game was made to compensate for the release of Security Breach being delayed for a second time and was released for free on GameJolt on April 28th of 2021. Oh god, and the Freddy in Space games keep coming out, with a third installment, supposedly. Chica in Space is a side-scrolling platform shooter game, just like the second one, and was released October 18th, 2023, under the title Fnaf, the movie, the game, and developed by Scott Cawthon himself, who claimed it's a spoiler-heavy tie-in to the Fnaf film. It was released for free on GameJolt. Fnaf Into the Pit, which is based off the book, which I actually have, which is pretty good. I recommend you go to your nearest store and go buy it because it's actually worth reading, despite it not having pictures. Fnaf Into the Pit, the game version, a role-playing adventure horror game developed by Mega Cat Studios, was released on PS4, PS5, and Xbox ports on September 27th of 2024, and then it was released on Nintendo Switch ports on October 31st, Halloween. It is based off the first story in the Fazbear Frights short story anthology, 5 Laps at Freddy's, which is basically Mario Kart if you took the FNAF cast and put them in the game instead. So basically, if you took Mario and his friends out of the game and took all the shells out and put FNAF characters in it, this is what you get. 5 Laps at Freddy's. A game that was announced June 19th, 2024 to coincide with the series' 10th anniversary. I'm going to be honest, I'm reading off a script, definitely not from Wikipedia. Okay, maybe it is, but it has better knowledge to most of the crap that I didn't even know about. So I'm reading about stuff I don't know about, so you're learning with me, I hope. Five Nights at Freddy's Survival Crew is an unreleased official Roblox adaptation of the series, accidentally released in an unfinished state by its developers, Metaverse Team Frights, on... You know what, this is a Roblox game. I think I'm only gonna count. Oh wait, yeah, I probably should also mention, in the short time that the game was released, players described the gameplay as similar to a cooperative horror game like Dead by Daylight, which is actually very funny because Springtrap got put in Dead by Daylight like a couple months ago with his Matthew Lillard style. So, yeah. There's a lot of games, and some of these that I didn't even know existed, like Fazbear Fanverse. On August 21st, 2020, Cawthon announced his plan to help fund and publish FNAF games developed by fans, bundled with previous installments in their respective series. Games published under this initiative include the One Night at Flumpty series, the Five Nights at Candy series, the Pop Goes series, and The Joy of Creation, which basically takes the withered animatronics and makes them look even more screwed up. Cawthon stated that these games will come to other platforms such as mobile, consoles, and may have merchandise created for them. The first game to be released under this initiative was a port of One Night at Flumpty's for Android and iOS on October 31st, again Halloween, and November 18th of 2020, respectively, followed by 2 of its sequels in 2021 on the same platforms. Other media involves, first starting off with novels. Starting in 2015, FNAF's... You know what, screw it, I'm just going to start saying Five Nights at Freddy's for some of this stuff because I've been saying FNAF too much. Five Nights at Freddy's has been the subject of 3 major novels published by Scholastic, funny. The first of which being FNAF, The Silver Eyes, which released on Amazon Kindle on December 17th, 2015, and on paperback, don't know what that is, on September 27th of 2016. Cawthon said that the novel expands the mythos and reveals a human element that, before seen in the games, FNAF, The Twisted Ones, and FNAF, The Fourth Closet. Don't think any of these novels are canon to the games, but you know what, screw it. Released on the 27th of June, 2017, and the 26th of June, of 2018. Respectively, additionally, many book series comprising short stories inspired by the games have been released, such as Fazbear Frights and Tales from the Pizzaplex. But none of these stories are really canon. And then we have the film adaptations. The Willy's timeline goes from Fnaf of 2023, moving into 2025 with the second Fnaf movie. Film adaptations. A film adaptation based on the game series was released for streaming on Peacock and theatrically in the United States on October 27th, 2023 by Universal Pictures, directed by Emma Tammy, who co-wrote the screenplay for Coughlin and Seth Cuddeback. I don't know. The film stars Josh Hutcherson, and for any reason, if that name sounds familiar, it's because he played PETA in Hunger Games. Yeah. Five Nights at Freddy's received generally negative reviews from critics, even though I thought it was okay, but I didn't like how it wasn't lore accurate to the games. Also, I should mention Josh Hutcherson, who played PETA in the Hunger Games. He plays Mike Schmidt from the first game. Thought I'd mention that. Originally, the FNAF movie was going to be made by Warner Bros., but then Blumhouse obtained the license, so then Warner Bros. Decided to come up with the stupid idea to take the banana splits that aren't even talked about anymore and turn them into a horror fiasco. The movie itself was a commercial success, becoming Blumhouse Productions' highest-grossing film worldwide with nearly $3 million. A sequel for the FNAF movie was scheduled to be released on December 5th of this year. So, yeah, we're still waiting for that to come out. So it's going to be so wonderful when it finally releases at around the time of, like things like maybe The Black Phone 2. Can't wait to see that film. I'm sure it's going to be even more of a disappointment. Well, actually, I don't know. The first one was pretty good. Okay, I'm getting off track. Let's get back on what we were talking about. Common elements. The games in the FNAF series are survival horror. No shit, obviously. You know that because you're watching this video and you're probably a FNAF fan. Players typically assume the role of a nighttime security guard. Again, no dip. At an established or other location connected to Freddy Fazbear's No Dip. I'm gonna be actually brutally honest with y'all. The lore is actually more complex than I thought, because when I read from Sister Location all the way to FNAF 3, starting from Sister Location, the FNAF 1, and then FNAF 3, I was very shocked. I should probably give y'all a complete story time rundown. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I want to mention I'm not a complete FNAF fanatic, but I'm putting together all the stuff that I've seen from each of the 5 FNAF games. Any of the future FNAF games, if you want to know that lore that's also tied in with these games, it's best you play them. I'd prefer not to spoil them. And if you're really looking forward to playing these games and you don't want the storyline to be spoiled and you want to figure out yourself, I recommend you click off this part of the video. First, it starts with Sister Location. And I presume it takes place before FNAF 4, which takes place before FNAF 2 and 1, because, well, let me just explain. It's presumed that Afton started his killings long before the death of his 2 kids. He has 3 of them, but 2 of them were killed horribly by animatronics. One being a specific clown, female clown-like animatronic named Circus Baby that Afton claimed to his daughter that it was made for her, specially, when really it was just made to kidnap and kill kids. And people presume that he started his killings long before he lost his 2 children, but went on a homicidal wreck to ruin his partner, Henry Emily, ruin his building business of the animatronics and ruin it by killing off kids. This whole spree started because his daughter got too close to Circus Baby. She baited his daughter in with ice cream and killed her. If you play the 8-bit cutscenes, I don't think I need to give any more detail. She just got, I feel like I should probably show you a video clip of what happened than even trying to explain it. So, here you go. That was more or so the beginning of, what would come. We fast forward a couple years later to the event horizon called the Bite of 87. This would make Afton irredeemable and would later cause him to become Springtrap, but not by force, more so by stupidity and cowardice. I'll get to that in a minute. The Bite of 87 was on the crying child's birthday, the kid I had mentioned that you play as in Fnaf 4, who is Afton's son. Again, this takes place far after, a couple years after, his daughter is killed by Circus Baby. His older brother always picks on the crying child. The crying child's older brother, I mean. He's always picked on by his older brother, and, him and his friends one day took the crying child, and I should probably show you the cutscene too, rather than explaining it, because I feel like the cutscene will just make it even more better, rather than explaining. So, here you go as well. Yeah, that is, me and everybody else of the community believe that is the most saddest moment in FNAF history. Now, before we continue on with the lore, and I was going to explain more of it, but maybe I should let y'all do some digging into the game's lore, or the rest of it. Because, to be honest, I kind of do feel bad now, given the fact that some of you probably want to play it bad, and you're probably gullible enough to continue watching, even though I did warn you. One last thing I do want to mention is how funny it is when some people, like IShowSpeed himself, react to meeting Nightmare animatronics like the Nightmare himself. Like, dude, I'm not capping, just look at this. It's even funnier than Markiplier's jump scare.
Oh, this is night 7. Why did y'all tell me this was night 7, chat? We're on fucking night 7, bro. Yo, chat, say peace if you can hear me. What the fuck was that? Yo, I just seen a black nigga, bro. No, I mean a black bro. Ah! What the I fucking knew it. I knew he was black. I knew he was black. I fucking knew it. Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck was that? God, why was he so black? Why was he so black? Who is that? Who the fuck is that?
I want to imply to y'all that this is one of many jump scare reactions to the Fnaf games. Markiplier's and Jacksepticeye's are most iconic for obvious reasons. I needed a reason to make a Fnaf video and show y'all that I'm gonna be honest, basically show y'all why this game is so good, because there are so many people that don't realize what this game is or how good it is. Also, I needed a reason to make a Fnaf video because, I'm gonna be honest, I forgot the Fnaf anniversary, which was 7 days after my 1 year anniversary of my channel's creation. So, yeah, I forgot 2 video creations. Yeah, I was late to the punch on both of those. I'm so sorry. Also, I wanted to make fun of countless people that got jump scared by this game, and definitely one of them wasn't me, I promise. Definitely one of them wasn't me and Mason during this one video that I uploaded to my channel.
My Maul is my main, and I get his lightsaber.
It was destined for greatness. Wait, Liam, look, I'm surviving. Look, I'm at fucking 5 a.m.
Why hasn't they killed you yet? Don't say anything. Don't say anything that may jinx you. Just do not hit the camera button. If you hit the camera button, you're gonna die.
I'm not fucking hitting that button. I don't care what anyone says. I'm clicking that fucking spamming door, dude. Peeking over there to see if fucking Cheek is around the damn corner.
Oh no, bro. If it randomly kills you...
What's scaring me is fucking Foxy.
Why did you say something about him? Wait. Why did you say? Why did you say something about Foxy? Why did you say something?
Low-key, this wasn't planned to even be a clip I showed, but I just now thought about it and I had to introduce it because, you know, me and Mason are known for playing horror games, and this was one of many rare moments in Fnaf media that you'll ever see, bro. Like, I'm being for real, I'm being honest. This is one of rare many moments, dude. Well, I guess I can end it here because I don't really know what else to say. I just wanted to, you know, make a video about me talking about my experience with the FNAF games and everything in general related to FNAF, and my acknowledgement of FNAF in its entirety, mainly because I was late on the punch for a FNAF video, given the fact that the 11th year anniversary happened like a couple months ago, and I missed it unknowingly, so this is a way to make up for it, sort of. This is actually kind of pathetic, I'm gonna be honest. Oh well, I guess I'll end it here now, because I don't really know what else to talk about. I talked about basically everything, including embarrassing myself in front of a bunch of people, while including a clip of me getting jump scared. So, yeah, I think that's enough internet for today. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.